Hello everyone, my name is Robert Safazon with GameXplain, and today we'll be sharing our review of Super Nintendo World with you. We recently had the opportunity to attend a pre-opening tech rehearsal of the park and had the chance to check out every ride and activity, along with food, merchandise, and most everything else. Because this review will contain detailed info on various games and activities in the park, you can skip directly to the end to get our thoughts minus the spoilers. So put on your plumber's hat and join us in our coverage of Super Nintendo World. The first thing we did was purchase a wristband. These act as your access to the park's mini activities, and you really can't do much without them. With a one-time cost of 3,200 yen, including amiibo functionality, we found them really quite intuitive. You have a choice between 6 characters to choose from: Mario, Luigi, Peach and Daisy, and Yoshi and Toad. We decided on Mario for our journey. The character you choose will put you on that character's team, which competes for daily high scores based on how many activities you participate in. The wristbands are used to help keep track of your team, points you collect, and stamps available on the Super Nintendo World app. As we already covered in another video, there is an official app that acts as a companion for players at Super Nintendo World, and is available through the USJ app on the Japanese Android and iOS stores. When you first enter Super Nintendo World through the warp pipe and exit via Princess Peach's castle, it truly feels like you've entered a small part of the Mushroom Kingdom. From the beautiful design, moving enemies, and more blocks than you can toss a Koopa shell at, it's a sensory overload. The park aesthetic is purely that of Super Mario Bros., and it works to tremendous effect. Every detail of the park appears to be expertly crafted, not by amusement park designers, but by actual game developers. This isn't a theme park, it's a video game starring you as the player. And it's really something you have to experience in person to fully appreciate, as pictures and videos just don't do it justice. The minigames are what help bring the park to life, and everything feels like it genuinely belongs. The kinetic energy of enemies and characters naturally moving as you'd expect from a Mario game is pretty impressive. This, combined with the beautiful arrangements of classic Mario music on top of entirely new compositions, gives an immediate sense of actually being in the Mushroom Kingdom. No other theme park has combined interactivity with action on this scale, and it truly breathes life into the Super Nintendo World, transforming it from a simple theme park into a world of its own. Even the literal scale of Mount Beanpole was simply breathtaking, and to be honest, we were truly overwhelmed. The overall story of the park is that Bowser Jr. is up to no good, and in order to fight him, you have to collect 3 keys from one of the 5 boss characters. The 5 enemies are Goomba, Piranha Plant, Koopa, Thwomp, and Bob-omb. The 3 most easily accessible are the former being located entirely outside on the upper level, while the latter 2 are also located on the upper level in underground layers. There are 2 single-player key bosses, Goomba and Koopa, and the remaining Piranha Plant, Thwomp, and Bob-omb are all multiplayer games. If you visit alone, don't worry, staff will divide guests so that everybody can have a group to play with. We found most of the games relatively easy to win, with only 2, the Koopa boss and Bob-omb boss, being potentially easy to fail. What we love most about these bosses is how well they enhance the overall atmosphere of the park. It's easy to have rides and cool buildings, but difficult to build an experience that feels like you're actually exploring a video game. It absolutely succeeds in creating an engaging atmosphere. It should be noted that all minigames have time limits, that, when exceeded, results in a game over. You defeat the Goomba by spinning a wheel at a consistent and quick, although not too quick, pace. Guests who spin too fast may be asked by staff to slow down, not that we were guilty of that or anything. The alarm clocks are awakening a giant Piranha Plant, and the goal is to get it to go back to sleep by stopping the alarm clocks by slamming them. Clocks that were already turned off can be randomly turned back on by the boss. A certain amount of clocks have to be turned off in time. This is a 4-player game and relatively easy to win. The Koopa boss is slightly more difficult. You have to time hitting a POW block to knock a shell into a final POW block, defeating the Koopa above. You only have 3 tries to time it correctly, and it's probably one of the more challenging games. The Thwompfight is played with 3 players and is relatively simple. All you have to do is turn all blue blocks yellow on a large display. There really isn't that much to it. In fact, you'd be forgiven for not even realizing who the boss is, since Thwomp is only shown above the entrance. Finally, the Bob-omb fight is the most complex. A giant Bob-omb explodes, destroying the key, which you and 3 friends have to collect by tapping displays on the wall. After recollecting the pieces, which are automatically sent to the screen below the Bob-omb, you have to recombine the pieces as a puzzle. Be quick, however, because if you take too long, the Bob-omb will explode again, and if he explodes 3 times, it's game over. This is definitely the most hectic of the games. After you've acquired 3 keys, you'll be able to challenge Bowser Jr. in the final boss battle of the park. Bowser Jr. has stolen the golden mushroom from Princess Peach, and we need to win it back. For reasons. Like the other attractions, the queue for this area is pretty cool. Featuring items like poison mushrooms, boomerangs, and clown Koopa cars, it genuinely feels like a place Bowser Jr. hangs out. Furthermore, we've got graffiti from his paintbrush painted all over the place, with some art even depicting a defeated Mario. The game itself requires about a dozen participants, so you can expect to be put in a rather large group, and is certainly the most intense of the park activities, requiring jumping, ducking, and punching in order to dodge obstacles and damage Bowser Jr. In the game, you'll receive various power-ups like power mushrooms and fire flowers to damage the nasty Koopa. After winning, we felt like true champions, having to have overcome so many obstacles in our journey to defeat Bowser Jr. In a way, it felt like beating the main story in a video game, but there's still so much left the park offers. There are many other games that serve to increase the overall experience and fun of the park. Several are featured in the queues of other attractions, and these activities also grant coins and points that are used for the daily leaderboard, which can help your team win. The first one in the park is the slot machine, which is based on the one from Super Mario 3D World. Players have to stop the blocks from rotating by punching them from below and try to line up 4 of the same icon. Even if you only get 2 or 3 in a row, you'll still be rewarded points. More points are rewarded for different icons. They all rotate at the same speed, but the speed changes from round to round. You might get a super fast one, but your friend behind you in line might get lucky with a slower one. Our advice is to hit 2 at the same time with 2 hands. It's a pretty fun distraction. Next is the music block challenge, which plays one of 5 songs. The songs are predetermined and each block lights up to show which one you need hit next, so there really isn't any freedom of choice of song. It's a nice addition to the park and enhances the nearby mushroom rest area. As for activities inside rides, there are so many that sometimes we return to queues just to see them again and explore them in detail. One such activity is the Power Up Challenge, where you can get a power-up item, such as an Ice Flower or Power Star, to defeat a predetermined enemies that appear on screen. We enjoyed this one a lot and tried out every power-up. There are also the many variations of blocks and areas, such as the Bowser Jr. block, which has the evil runt laugh at you. Of course, one of the coolest features are the secret sprites you can occasionally find by placing a wristband near a secret spot on the wall, usually indicated by a Mario logo. These are nice Easter eggs for older fans, and we were impressed by just how many there are. Another cool feature were the Augmented Reality Binoculars, with 2 pairs available in the park. These are really useful for finding some of the hidden Pikmin in the hub, and also display other characters and enemies through the AR functionality. It was cool for a moment, but to be honest, after using them once, they ended up blending in with the environment and just being used to enhance the experience aesthetically. Meeting Mario and Luigi was super fun, especially because they actually talk to you. Their personalities are wonderfully expressed, and our main criticism is practically only towards Toad, whose costume isn't nearly as detailed as Mario and Luigi, and doesn't really have much personality when compared to these other characters as well. Furthermore, his area isn't really well designated and changes frequently throughout the day. You will find Mario and Luigi at the center of the lower area, usually with Toad bouncing around nearby. As for Princess Peach, she resides in her beautiful gazebo near her castle. Her personality is about what you'd expect, but maybe a little boring. To be fair, we rarely get to see her outside of being kidnapped in the main games. All characters communicate in English using their proper voice, and if you have a wristband, we'll talk to you about your recent park experiences. Staff will scan your wristband to help facilitate this, and we loved just how much it enhanced the overall experience of meeting our favorite heroes. Staff will take a photo using a park camera with the characters you can pose with, which can then later be printed out and downloaded digitally at the photo booth, for a price of course. The photo booth is located directly in front of the center area where Mario and Luigi can be found. Okay, let's talk about what you've probably been waiting for, the rides. The main attraction is arguably Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge, and it's an interesting experience. First, the queue itself is amazing. It's presented as sort of a tour of Bowser's castle. In fact, we honestly would have liked to have more time in the queue, which is a very peculiar feeling indeed. It's filled with statues of Bowser, a throne, a library full of plans and evil ideas, and even a factory where you can watch Bullet Bills, Bob-Ombs, and Mecha Koopas be built. The ride itself is, well, it's basically a rail shooter with a Mario Kart skin, only with Koopa shells as your ammo. The required AR headset is really what brings the ride to life, letting you see virtual elements like other racers and the Koopa shells that you launch. Unfortunately, you don't really do any of the actual driving. Okay, sure, everyone has a steering wheel and you can work together to control the direction the cart faces to a degree, but the course is otherwise predetermined with various stops and turns that cannot be altered. So what really sets Mario Kart apart is the ability to attack other racers using Koopa shells. Thankfully, you'll get a bunch each time you hit a question block, so you'll have plenty of chances. To fire, you just look in your opponent's direction and press a button. Land a hit and you'll earn some coins for a chance at making the leaderboards. Unfortunately, green shells are the only item available, which feels a bit limited. Although the ride is only a single lap, it covers a variety of classic environments, such as underwater, a haunted mansion, and even Rainbow Road. The ride is enhanced by real-world effects such as wind, which is a great addition and helps make the kart feel faster than their actual real-world speed. The ride is relatively short, with less than 5 minutes of action. It's a cool experience, but may not be what Nintendo fans are expecting from a ride that sells itself as the closest Mario Kart experience that you'll find. But if you go in with an open mind, it's a very fun time. The interactivity is what makes this ride really stand out, limited as it may be, and is no doubt what will make it a very popular attraction. The augmented reality is really quite convincing and helps bring the action to life. Trust us, the footage here doesn't do the ride justice. You'll just have to experience Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge for yourselves. The second and final actual ride of Super Nintendo World is Yoshi's Adventure. Now, Yoshi games have always had a more peaceful presence, which is very much the way it's showcased in the park, which is a slow omni-mover type attraction, like a happier haunted mansion. The queue for Yoshi's Adventure isn't nearly as exciting as it is relaxing. The calm and bubbly music of Yoshi gives the queue more of a peaceful stroll feeling. There are various Yoshi egg blocks and other cool surprises in the queue as well, like Toadette, who gives a brief talk about Yoshis, although in Japanese. The design makes use of pastels and chalk art, which is perfectly representative of the Yoshi games, although it feels slightly out of place when compared to the rest of the park. As for the ride itself, you are paired with one other person in your very own Yoshi, as you go on a leisurely tour of the Mushroom Kingdom featuring some very cute indoor scenes, such as this one starring Baby Mario, along with some exterior ones offering great views of the park, as you have some very close encounters with other Mario characters. You'll also find 3 colored egg buttons inside the Yoshi that you can press when you see a same colored egg nearby, which creates a Yoshi sound. Cute! We also got to see our first Super Mario Galaxy 2 reference in years during the Yoshi's Adventure ride, hidden deep within a warp pipe, where we're pretty sure Nintendo just forgot about it. There's a lot to see on this ride, as it takes you up and personal with some of Mushroom Kingdom's more calmer citizens, and even includes a Captain Toad cameo. Although it's slow-paced, it makes for a nice tour of the park overall. Alright, if you're looking for an exciting ride experience, Super Mario World may not have exactly what you're looking for. Mario Kart is certainly the superior ride, offering an impressive merger of physical sets with augmented reality, although it's still a slower experience than I expected. And with both rides being less than 5 minutes each, it might be tough justifying the expected long wait times. While they do a good job of enhancing the experience, they strangely feel like their least creative elements. Don't get us wrong, while they weren't what we were expecting, they were still a lot of fun and full of personality. The Mario Kart ride in particular is fun to check out again multiple times after you've already ridden once. Yoshi's Adventure, however, feels like more of a one and done kind of ride and is directed mainly more towards younger audience. Both rides are still a fun experience and are definitely supported by the creativity of the queues. One element I want to touch on now is what do you get exactly from exploring all these rides and seeing all of these activities multiple times? Well, there are 170 stamps to collect via the Super Nintendo World app. You unlock certain stamps by doing certain activities multiple times, or for example, if you line up 4 stars in the slot machine or 4 Tanuki leaves. There are so many stamps to collect, and some of them involve beating the leaderboard, and some of them are even visiting during the opening month of the park or visiting during New Year's. Which, if you're a completionist, means that you'll be coming again and again and again, which I think is the overall idea. Now let's talk about what merch is available within the park. We love the variety and creativity in many of the items, which range from unique watches to toy cars and even underwear. We have to say that the build quality of the items is pretty standard, but be prepared to shell out a few coins. Theme park merch generally isn't cheap, and Super Nintendo World gift shops are no exception. Most small items run for about 1,000 yen, while the most popular items can reach up to 8,000 yen. The items that Miyamoto showcased go for roughly 3,000 yen, however. There are 2 separate gift shops, with a Mario Kart themed one, Mario Motors, being located on the upper level next to the right entrance, and 1-Up Factory on the lower level. The most popular clothing item was definitely the Mario Kart jacket, which many players are purchasing. The Mario Kart ride directly feeds into the gift shop, so it's expected to be pretty busy throughout the day. It'd be very easy to spend several tens of thousands of yen at these stores, so be sure to come prepared. Everything we saw was top quality and unique. We only regret not bringing a bigger bag. The food in the park is pretty average, with nothing really standing out from the crowd. The popcorn flavors available in the park are caramel peach, which we loved, and mushroom cream, which tended to be a bit salty in my experience. There are 2 snack stands located in the Super Nintendo world, Yoshi's Snack Island and Mario's Pit Stop. The former supplies drink and calzone snack with yakitori in the shape of a Koopa shell, and the latter is where you buy popcorn. Beyond the popcorn itself, however, is something popular in every theme park: popcorn buckets. Here you can buy a Mario Kart or Superstar themed popcorn bucket, both of which light up. They are rather pricey, but you can get larger refills of popcorn for cheaper in the future if you buy these. There are also incredible accessories when exploring the park too. There's a rest area nearby, so players can sit and relax for a bit under the mushrooms. Quinopio's Cafe is the star of the show when it comes to food, featuring dozens of Mario-themed items, an ongoing story shown through the window displays in the dining lounge, and a wonderful design. It feels just like eating in the Mushroom Kingdom. You'll have to decide your order and pay first, so be sure to choose wisely, as drink refills are not available. The food is priced generously, and is about what you expect from a themed cafe in Japan. Our favorite and recommended food is the teriyaki chicken and superstar rice. There's also dessert available, with the star attraction being the Princess Peach cake, which is meant to be shared between friends. Unfortunately, we were sad that we couldn't purchase any of the many creative dishes used for the food. Overall, the food quality was decent and not too expensive, but it's really the atmosphere and window view you're paying for. Occasionally, you'll see Bowser attempt to overthrow the Mushroom Kingdom and chase Toads out of the kitchen. Of course, Mario and Luigi eventually save the day and bring peace back to the world, as well as your meal. It's a nice touch to the cafe, and we stuck around just to make sure we saw it through to the end. Although we spent 3 days at the park before launch, it still feels as though there was so much more to discover and see. Every day there was something new that stuck out to us. Although it's located entirely within USJ, it's a place where you'll have to dedicate an entire day to only do a few things. It will certainly take multiple visits once guests can actually access the park on a regular basis, especially if you want to collect all 170 stamps. One of our biggest critiques of the park is how small the hub area is, especially when compared to the queues for the rides, which are much bigger than the hub itself. However, this gives the park an overall cozy feel, and the overall park design implements clever lighting and art tricks to help make the environment feel bigger than it actually is, which is highly more evident at night. Once you're in the park, it feels more like the world around you goes on forever. Everything from the myriad of coin blocks to the moving enemies and characters that you can chat with, it all just feels fresh and inviting, just like we imagined the Mushroom Kingdom to be. In fact, what surprised us the most is how much we began to empathize with Mario after the Mario Kart queue. Those enemies aren't small, and the world Mario lives in certainly has an element of danger, which we certainly felt when inside Bowser's castle. This is also held in contrast to the Yoshi and Peach areas, which feel a lot more relaxed and bubbly. Everything about the park is built to keep you in a video game mindset, and the design supports this very well. You'll be left wanting to see more of the Mushroom Kingdom, which is exactly the feeling this theme park should leave you with. From the perspective of a Super Mario Bros. Fan, it was incredible. However, that's also where our biggest critique of the park comes in. It's less Super Nintendo World and more Super Mario World. All of the content in the park, from the merch to the food to the rides, are all Super Mario Bros. Centric. Although this will eventually change when the planned Donkey Kong expansion opens up in a few years, which you can find in the lower area near a closed gate. Okay, sure, there are a plethora of secret Pikmin to discover, but that feels more like an afterthought Easter egg from Shigeru Miyamoto than a way to enhance the overall experience. But to be fair, this can also be seen as a positive. If other brands were already implemented, perhaps the park would feel less coherent. The atmosphere works well because of how focused it is right now. We would like to see more content from other franchises in the future, and maybe if the park's initial run is successful, we'll see just that. It's no secret that we're huge Nintendo fans here at GameXplain, but even fellow game devs in Japan have enjoyed their experience. I even referred to Super Nintendo World guests as players because that's just how it feels when being in the park. Super Nintendo World is without a doubt the most engaging theme park we've ever attended. While the impression other parks give is bringing content and imagination to you in the real world, it feels like we were directly brought into the world of Mario. Overall, we loved Super Nintendo World. Every Nintendo fan needs to check out Super Nintendo World at some point, and hopefully we'll all get the chance to do so safely very soon. Especially with new parks being built in Hollywood, Orlando, and Singapore, fans around the world will hopefully be able to visit a local park in the coming years as well. So that wraps up our review of Super Nintendo World. Thank you for watching, and be sure to check out more Super Nintendo World coverage, as we've already uploaded several videos and have many more on the way. For all things Nintendo, be sure to subscribe to Game Explain, and until next time, good luck and have fun!